Hello friends. Well, I told you we had one more project left to do in our art class, so here it is. We did not have a new story today because we are continuing to work with The Little Prince. We're continuing to think about it. Now, a couple of weeks before we went on spring break, I had a student, one of you, I'm talking both to first grade and pre-K today, so one of you in pre-K came up to me on the playground and you asked me a question. And it was a really interesting question. And you asked me, what does it mean that in our end is our beginning? I thought that was a very, very big and very interesting question, and it is. And it turns out, I learned by talking with you a little bit more, it turns out that you were talking about a song that you had been working on with your music class for the spring concert. The song is called Hymn of Promise. So I'm not sure if both classes were working on that or just pre-K, but it's a song. And it has a line of it that says, in our end is our beginning. And so the student in pre-K wanted to know what that means. And if we were all in class together right now, we would have a really good, interesting discussion on what that means. And if you can, maybe you can talk with your mom or your dad about that, about what you think it means and what they think it means. See what they think too. When I talked with this student in pre-K, I asked her what she thought it meant, and she said, well, end means like when we die and go to heaven. And I said, okay, right. So what does that mean that that's a beginning? And she said, well, when we die here, we get to have a new life in heaven with Jesus. And I said, I think that's exactly right. In our end is our beginning. Even when one thing ends, usually something else is starting. So if you think of it like that, endings aren't really so sad, are they? Yeah, it's still kind of sad, right? When something ends, especially if it's when somebody dies, somebody that you know passes away. That's the end of their life here on earth. And that's sad for us, and it's okay to be sad. But it does mean that they're beginning a new life. If they go to heaven, they're beginning a new life with Jesus. And that's very exciting. That's very, very good for them. So that's a way that we can understand that song using something that we experience in our lives, right? Most of us have known somebody who passed away. Or if not somebody passing away, maybe just the end of something, like the end of a school year. It's kind of sad. The school year is ending. And it's especially kind of sad because we're not all there together, right? And we miss each other. And that's okay. It's okay to be sad and miss your friends. But the end of this school year means that the new school year is coming soon. And so even though it's the end of one thing, the start of something else is coming. So I want us to think about that, in our end is our beginning, as we think about the end of our story, The Little Prince. Now, we talked last time about how it's kind of a sad ending, right? It's a little confusing and sad. In a way, the little prince dies, right, at the end. But in a way, he doesn't. Because do you remember, was the pilot able to find the little prince's body at the end? He wasn't. If the little prince had really just died, his body would still be there. It would just be there, dead like an empty shell, he says. But the body's not there, which means that the little prince went somewhere. Now the pilot says that that means the little prince got back to his planet. But I wonder what you think it means. I think the little prince wanted to go back to his planet. But he might have gone somewhere else first. He might have had adventures along the way. He might have stopped at different planets, just like he stopped at different planets the first time he came to Earth, right? He stopped and met different people and saw different places. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what happened to the little prince. But I think it's an interesting exercise to think about it. I would like you to spend a little bit of time today, right now, probably, since you're sitting down to do art class, spend a little bit of time thinking about what happened to the little prince after the snake bit him. The end of his life on Earth, here, was really just the start of a new adventure for him, right? Of him getting back to his home planet. So I wonder what you think happened. Today's project, our assignment for the day, is to write a very short story about what happened to the little prince next. Do you know the word epilogue? Probably not. Epilogue is a very big old word. It just means the end part of a story. It's usually very short. The end part of a story that answers the question, what happened next? So it's a little thing that's kind of like added on right at the end to tell what happened next to a particular character. So we're going to write an epilogue about the little prince's adventure going back home. So there are a couple things to know about this. The epilogue should be at least 5 sentences. Now your mom or dad can help you figure out what that means, 5 sentences, especially if you're in pre-K. You'll probably need some help with that. So 5 sentences, at least. If you want to make it longer, you can, you should. I will read as much as you want to give me. At least 5 sentences. It should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. So don't just start with the end, right? That wouldn't make any sense. When you're telling a story, you start at the beginning, and you have a middle, and then you have an end. So you might need a parent's help with that. Don't worry too much about that, Mom and Dad. This is not a writing class, so don't worry too much about that. That's just a way to help think about the framing of the story for your student. So 5 sentences, have a beginning, middle, and end. And then I would like you to draw a picture of some part of that adventure, some part of your epilogue, your ending story. You get to pick whatever the picture is about. Okay? So you are creating an epilogue for the little prince. You are telling what happened to him next after the snake bit him. Where did he go? What did he do? What did he see? Did he meet any new people? Did he make it home to his planet eventually? What happened to the sheep and the flower? Those are up to you. You decide. Can't wait to read what you write. Thanks for learning with me this year, friends. It's been a joy.